كانت تشرب حالها تغلط الوسطى.
Good afternoon. On this Friday, you're watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm Yuna Nopal, and these are today's top stories. 4 female activists are freed from police custody a day after they are arrested during a violent protest in downtown Beirut. The relatives of the kidnapped servicemen hold a sit-in in front of the Interior Ministry and block the road near the central bank in the Beirut area of Hamra. And the United States drops a $500 million Pentagon program to train Syrian rebels fighting the administration of President Bashar al-Assad. Good afternoon to all our viewers. We begin today with 4 female activists who were freed from police custody a day after they were arrested during the violent protest in downtown Beirut. And their relatives of other detainees are rallied outside the military tribunal demanding their release. The young activists, identified as Cynthia Sleiman, Maya Malkani, Fatmeh Htait, and Laya Sablini, said they will sue police for harassing them during custody. They beat us, they said. They called us animals. They give us no food, and they treated us very badly. We have to cut this report short to go to a live report.
من المقرر أن يتلو أهالي العسكريين المخطوفين بيانا من أمام قصر الرئيس تمام سلام، وطبعا يعني بعد أن قطعوا الطريق هنا أمام المنزل، وهم يطالبون بأن يلتقوا الرئيس تمام سلام. نحن بانتظار أن تتلو ماري خوري هذا البيان.
هذه اللحظة سوف تتلو ماري خوري البيان باسماء هذه العسكريين المخطوفين من أمام منزل الرئيس تمام سلام. جاهزين؟ سين شو؟ بدون ما تلبكي فيها، أنا برأيي بدون ما تلبكي فيها.
أيها الإخوة والأخوات.
لا في زميلنا بعد من
ماري بلج لأنه نحن الميكروفون ما بتلبك، بس بدي أقشع. لا تكل لا مستحيل.
هذا البيان على كل الشاشات التلفزيونية الموجودة هنا من أجل التغطية. ما زلنا ننتظر لدقيقة ربما أو دقيقتين من أجل أن يكونوا جاهزين.
إذن بانتظار أن تبدأ ماري خوري بتلاوة البيان.
أيها الإخوة والأخوات، يا أصحاب الضمائر الحية، ويا أصحاب الغيرة والحمية والوعود الباقية والبقية، استمطرنا سماء فلبت، ويا أهلنا إننا بانتظار الوعد والرجاء، لا نعرف مصير لأولادنا ولا علم بمكان أحبابنا، ولكن الأمل دائما بربنا وبوعود من وعدنا. نعود لنذكر، وعسى أن تنفع الذكرى المؤمنين. نذكر للكل بالكل عن أحبابنا وفلذة أكبادنا. نسأل دولة الرئيس ودولة الرئيس وأصحاب المعالي والمؤتمن اللواء عباس إبراهيم، أين نحن من كل ما جرى ويجري حولنا؟ ولا نعرف مصير أحبابنا. هؤلاء ندروا أنفسهم لحماية الوطن وحمايتنا. ألا يجدر بكم وبنا أن نقف موقف الدفاع عنهم والعمل على عودتهم إلى أهلهم والوطن وذويهم أهل الوطن؟ تحية لكم أيها الأبطال أينما أنتم، والرجاء كل الرجاء أن نلقاكم، والسلام عليكم.
إذن يعني هذا هو كان البيان الذي ألقته ماري خوري هنا من أمام منزل الرئيس تمام سلام. هم يطالبون طبعا أن يلتقوا الرئيس تمام سلام وأن يتابعوا معه قضيتهم، خصوصا وأنهم كانوا قد أشاروا سابقا بأنهم يعني لم يلتقوا أي مسؤول سياسي منذ أيام ومنذ أشهر، وفقط يلتقون اللواء خير. إذن لا تزال الطريق هنا مقطوعة أمام منزل الرئيس تمام سلام، وبانتظار ما ستؤول إليه الأوضاع نحن سنبقى معكم لموافاتكم بأي جديد. عودة لمتابعة النشرة الإنجليزية.
Thank you. That was our reporter live in Said Bay, Rabia Mshantaf, talking about the relatives of the kidnapped servicemen. They arrived from Said Bay in front of the residence of the Prime Minister Tamam Salam. They held a sit-in in front of the Interior Ministry earlier this morning, and they blocked the road near the central bank in the Beirut area of Hamra, of course demanding the release of their sons after more than 14 months of captivity. Families also prevented the security forces from reopening the Bank Street in downtown Beirut after it was blocked during the protests on Thursday. They held the government, General Security Chief Magistrate General Abbas Ibrahim, who they just spoke to directly in their statement, as well as Speaker Nabih Berri, who they say is responsible for the negligence in solving this controversial file. The servicemen were taken hostage by the Al-Qaeda affiliate Nusra Front and ISIS group in August 2014 when they overran the northeastern border town of Arsail. Lebanese security forces arrested numerous protesters early after a night where police fired tear gas and water cannon to break up the anti-government protest in Beirut. The country's fractious leaders postponed talks aimed at resolving a political crisis that is feeding public discontent. Anger at Lebanon's government has fueled repeated protests in recent months. Discontent with widely perceived corruption and incompetence came to a head in July when the government failed to agree on a solution to the waste disposal crisis, and piles of garbage were left to fester in the streets. During the clashes, some 36 people were taken to the hospital suffering from suffocation as a result of tear gas. 6 policemen were also wounded. This just in, the United States is dropping the $500 million Pentagon program to train Syrian rebels fighting the administration of President Bashar al-Assad. According to the New York Times, it is citing unidentified Obama administration officials. The newspaper said Pentagon officials are expected to announce the end of the program Friday. Meanwhile, ISIS fighters have seized Syrian villages on the outskirts of Aleppo from rival insurgent fighters, an activist group says, despite Russian airstrikes that have targeted the militant group. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps said separately one of its senior commanders had been killed this week near Aleppo, Syria's main northern city. Iran, an ally of the Syrian government, says it has advisory missions in the country but no military forces. ISIS are now within 2 kilometers of government-held territory on Aleppo's northern edge, the closest they have been to the city. The UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said it was the biggest advance by ISIS since it launched an offensive against rebels in the northern Aleppo countryside near the Turkish border in late August. Israeli police say an Israeli stabbed and injured several Arabs in the southern city of Dimona. Police spokeswoman Luba Samri said a member of the country's Bedouin minority was found injured with a knife lying at his side. Police rushed to the scene and searched the area. Soon after, police received reports of another stabbing in the area and arrested an Israeli man. Israeli media reports that the Israeli had stabbed and injured several Palestinians in the town in addition to the Bedouin man, and many analysts fear that this could be the upcoming of a new intifada. Coming up next, Tunisian civil society groups win the Nobel Peace Prize. So we'll stay back. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching the 1620 o'clock news here on Future Television. Pope Francis opened Friday's session of the Synod by leading prayers for peace in Syria and Iraq. The Pope deplored the escalation of violence affecting innocent civilians in the Middle East, from Syria to Iraq, Jerusalem, and the West Bank, and is urging the international community to act. Addressing a global church summit on the family at the Vatican, Francis said he was praying for those caught up in conflicts across the region, which bring destruction and multiply people's suffering. He followed with an urgent appeal to the international community to find a way to effectively assist the parties concerned and expand their horizons beyond their immediate interests. The Islamic State controls large swaths of territory in Iraq and Syria, where it is targeted by a U.S.-led airstrike coalition. Tunisian civil society groups won the Nobel Peace Prize for helping to create the only democracy to emerge from the Arab Spring at a time when the country is under threat from Islamist violence. The Nobel panel said the award to the National Dialogue Quartet was intended as an encouragement to the Tunisian people and as an inspiration to others, particularly in the troubled Middle East. The committee hailed its decisive contribution to the building of a pluralistic democracy in Tunisia in the wake of the Jasmine Revolution of 2011. This is according to Chairwoman Katja Coleman. It said that the Norwegian Nobel Committee hopes that this year's prize will contribute towards safeguarding democracy in Tunisia and become an inspiration to all those who seek to promote peace and democracy in the Middle East, North Africa, as well as the rest of the world. U.S. President Barack Obama is promising Hispanic leaders he will continue to champion a comprehensive change to the nation's immigration laws and says America's greatness comes from building opportunities, not walls. Obama spoke to about 2,000 people during an awards dinner for the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute, which seeks to open the halls of Congress to more Latinos.
When I took office, the unemployment rate was on its way to 10%. Today, it's 5.1%. The unemployment rate among Latinos hit 13%. We've brought that down to 6.4%. Today, more than 680,000 dreamers live and study and work freely and openly in the country they've always called home. We cannot build a unified country, he said, by inciting people to anger or playing on anyone's fears or exploiting the issue of immigration for political gain. That's what he said. Think how much better our economy would be if the rest of his party got the message. Unless you were one of the first Americans, unless you're Navajo or Cherokee, somebody somewhere came from someplace else. You can't just feed on fear. You should be feeding hope. You should be for fixing our immigration system. You should be for allowing dreamers and their parents who've been here for years to live without fear in the country they love. You should tell the truth, which is that illegal border crossings are lower than they've been in decades, and that economists agree that immigration does not hurt our economy, it grows our economy, creating jobs, raising wages for Americans.
It's a problem when a leading Republican candidate for president says that immigrants from Mexico are rapists and drug dealers. It's a problem when candidates use offensive terms like anchor babies, or even talk about changing the Constitution to take citizenship away from those who were born here. We need people who will stand up to this ugly rhetoric and extreme thinking, who will say with our words and our actions, basta, enough, end this.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our headlines. 4 female activists are freed from police custody a day after they are arrested during a violent protest in downtown Beirut. The relatives of the kidnapped servicemen hold a sit-in in front of the Interior Ministry. They've arrived to Msait Bay in front of the residence of Prime Minister Tamam Salam, demanding that the Prime Minister give them some answers. And the United States drops a $500 million Pentagon program to train Syrian rebels fighting the administration of President Bashar al-Assad. This wraps up your Friday headlines here on Future Television. Have a great weekend ahead, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
سنة و3 أشهر حالنا تغلط الوسطى.